say it enough, people will believe it.
No!
That was not a joke. That is his strategy. And I can promise you that he is lying right now to this country. I live in the Midwest now, very, very rural Kansas. I see farmers struggling. I see oil fields closing. Small businesses are trying to keep their lights on, and people are worried about their health care. This is all over the country, but it is also in rural America where he has forgotten them. He used them for their votes, and he has forgotten them.
That's right.
We can disagree on policy. That's democracy, but we must agree that character and honesty matters.
Yeah!
That's not being woke. We are not woke. We're standing up for American principles.
Now, the only reason you would want ballots and voter rolls is to purge them. There's no other reason for the federal government to have it. And so now you have all of these efforts by the administration, and of course, the Republicans in Congress know that they're about to lose their majority, and so they're working overtime to help Donald Trump do that. So it's time for us to stand up. It's time for us to stand up. Are you with me? Are you with me? Let's get to work.
We cannot normalize him. What he's gonna do for the next 4 fucking hours is not normal. It's not right. It's not American. Oh, we gotta meet the moment, and that takes courage. That means all of us have to have the courage to call this out for what it is. He is a fascist. And if you believe it like I believe it, it does no good not to say it. He's a fascist. He's a pathological liar. He's a damn psychopath. He's utterly lawless. He's openly corrupt. And you know what? Damn it, he's a cruel bastard.
But above every lie, there is one lie that is more wicked than all of the rest. And it is the story of the sacrificial lamb. The lie to the American loser. The lie that says that nothing is your fault. The lie that exculpates you from responsibility. The lie that says something that you have not earned has been stolen by someone who is not a thief. That it is always somebody different. They're called Somali, or the N-word, or Mexican, or trans, or gay, or queer, or whatever vile name, libtard. Some are accused of having a derangement syndrome that only applies to the immunity of not being hypnotized by a first-rate demagogue and liar named Conrad.
What does not make a city safer is chaos, or the use of overwhelming force and brutality to punish an entire city for its politics. It leaves people feeling decidedly unsafe, afraid to go to work, to the grocery store, or even to drop their kids at daycare. When power is used to intimidate rather than protect, people feel it. And when government overreaches instead of serves, people feel that too. I want to tell you the story that we've experienced directly in Minneapolis, because over the past 2 months, Minneapolis has faced fear at our doorsteps and pressure from beyond our borders. The federal government militarized ICE and sent them into our city. Violence got worse. The death toll rose, and residents lived in fear. But something else happened too. Minneapolis did not bow. We did not break. We did not betray our neighbors. Residents showed up for one another in sub-zero temperatures. They created safety networks and mutual aid systems. They set up courtrooms and community centers. They met here with something even greater than resistance. They met fear with love. And this is what democracy looks like when people step up and then they defend it around shared principles, even when we argue about virtually everything else. So tonight my message is going to be really simple. To local leaders, do not bow your head in despair or govern in fear. Stand up, speak out, defend your people. The oath you took was not to convenience, it was to the Constitution and to the families who trust you to protect their future. To the American people, this is your country. You built it. You showed up from a million different backgrounds, a million different starting points, and decided to call this great place home. This is your moment. Capture back that flag. Reclaim the meaning of patriotism. It does not belong to one party, one movement, or one voice. It belongs to each and every one of us. Now's the time to step forward, to organize, to vote, to serve, to run, and to build, and to defend the ideals that generations before us fought to secure. And to anyone who feels exhausted by division, worn down by politics of coercion, remember this. Democracy has never been passive. It requires more than effort. It requires you. Every generation of Americans has been tested. They did not inherit a perfect nation. They inherited a responsibility. When their moment came, they chose to act not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. Now it's our turn. It's your turn. There will be a moment when you're tired, when you don't want to knock another door, make another call, attend one more meeting. Do it anyway. Do it for your parents. Do it for your kids. Do it for your neighbors, regardless of where they're from. Do it for the people that don't have a microphone.
This investment and neglect has led to unemployment rates as high as 50%. He left out that in the wealthiest city, in cities across this country, there are too many people who are still left behind. Where 1 in 4 students in our public schools in Chicago do not know where they're going to sleep tonight. And instead of addressing the urgent problems of poverty and disinvestment, instead of restoring the funding that he has cut from healthcare and food assistance, instead of doing anything to address the cost of living crisis, the fact that the rent is too high and wages are far too low in this country, this president spoke of an America that does not exist for hundreds of millions of Americans across this country. Now maybe in the small class of corporate executives and billionaires who the president calls his closest friends, maybe those folks are experiencing an unprecedented prosperity in this country. But I can tell you that working people of this country are watching our education funding get cut. They are watching our tax dollars go to foreign wars. And they are fed up with this corrupt, backwards, out of touch administration. Are you fed up, America?
Donald Trump describes our city as a war zone. He isn't just misrepresenting Chicago. He's undermining efforts by working class people across the country who are proving real safety is derived from investment, opportunity, collective responsibility, not intimidation, nor militarization. And as soon as it became clear that he could not fully militarize our city, Trump turned his sights and his rage on some of the most vulnerable people. As immigrants and Black communities have been targeted, as families have been violently separated, neighborhoods terrorized with tear gas in the streets and Black Hawk helicopters overhead, homes raided and destroyed, but Chicagoans, we stood up and we wrapped our arms around one another. Because we know that together we can build safe communities for all.
Yeah, buddy.
5 months ago,
5 months ago, the ACLU asked me to sign a letter supporting Jimmy Kimmel when he was taken off the air by Trump administration censorship and ABC complicity. The letter began, "We, the people, must never accept government threats to our freedom of speech. Efforts by leaders to pressure artists, journalists, and companies with retaliation for their speech strike at the heart of what it means to live in a free country. 100%. I'm passionate about free speech and a huge supporter of the ACLU, so along with nearly 500 other actors, directors, musicians, and more than 50,000 ACLU supporters, of course I signed the letter. And turn its back on the daily atrocities of the Trump regime and their enablers. Despite the theme tonight, I didn't come here to talk about the State of the Union. That's too depressing. And right now I'm more concerned about what the State of the Union will be in November. Because a failing, flailing, and desperate Donald Trump is even more dangerous than the tyrant we've already experienced. There is no doubt in my mind, I'm sure in most of our minds, that he will use every resource and power at his command to stop from losing power in the midterm elections.
That's right.
I won't list the ways because we don't know all the ways he'll try to steal the election. Remember that this guy tried to overthrow the government by violently attacking the Capitol on January 6th. Who saw that coming?
Shame.
And that was just a rehearsal for what's likely to come. Who's going to stop it?
We are.
Yes!
We are.
Who's going to stop it? We, the people.
That's right.
We are the only ones who can stop it. Like you, I'm filled with anger and outrage. But I'm saved from total despair by rays of hope. And I'm very careful these days about using the word hope, because I've seen so many of our hopes for our country destroyed. But there's no reason to think we're not up to the challenge. We have a solid first line of defense with organizations like Defiance.org.
The idea of people finally speaking out in a bigger group and also speaking while the president is speaking at the State of the Union, I thought that would be really impactful. I know Miles said it in jest, but the fact that his crowd was bigger than State of the Union crowd would really piss him off. So I'm sorry, but I did enjoy that too. But honestly, just meeting people with different points of view who can come together and recognize that democracy is the most important thing.
Yep. So I heard you talking a bit earlier about there being so many less guardrails and so much less to hold the president back now than in the first term. How significant was that really in the first term? As you look back, was it?
I don't think I even knew how significant it was at the time, if I'm being honest. But after I left and I saw the people he replaced me with, or the fact that he replaced, General Kelly or Mick Mulvaney with Mark Meadows and just people who were yes men, I started to see the trend happen. And so when I released my book, I did try to warn people that if he were to get a second term, he would put people in the cabinet that would never defy him. He would surround him with sycophants who would only tell him what he wanted to hear, and he wouldn't have those people even in, the White House legal counsel office who would tell him no. And I think that has turned out to be completely true.
Yeah. And I think you wrote something not long ago, which I remember saying, if anyone knew the truth of this, it was you, along the lines of him really not having any restraints himself in terms of what he thinks he can do and, what he'll do if there's nothing to get in his way.
Absolutely. When I have talked about the emperor has no clothes, that is absolutely true. He thinks of himself as a king. He thinks he can do whatever he wants. He does not have to answer to anyone. He's got a Congress who he's just laid down and is essentially a carpet at this point. So in that regard, I guess he's right. It's unfortunate. He's had a Supreme Court that has mostly ruled in his favor, obviously recently with the tariffs. That was a great ruling, I think. But he has had nobody to stop him or tell him, this is a bad idea, this is not good for our country. And he doesn't care if it's good for our country, he cares if it's good for him, as evidenced by the giant banner on the Department of Justice or naming every building you can think of after him.